this, let's bring in Margaret Zulu from Save Our Children South Africa. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon, Margaret. So 21 young lives were lost in an establishment that should not have been allowed to operate in that condition in the first place, essentially. Now, as Save Our Children South Africa, just your reaction then on the news to demolish the structure.
Good afternoon to you and your viewers. Our position as Save the Children is that we protect children in all settings, including bars, pubs, clubs, and any facilities. And we want to see the law upheld. And so our viewpoint is that any facility that sells alcohol should not be operating if they are allowing children to gain access to such facilities. And therefore, we are in support of the court ruling, mainly because our standpoint is that we need to protect children from that.
And I mean, when you consider, at the time of this incident, some of the investigations that were done by various organizations post the tragedy, they did find a number of these establishments, particularly in communities, with some form of an irregularity, whether it be from a licensing perspective or even just the structure itself, where young children, minors, were also being served alcohol. Just your, reaction on how these establishments are really part of our society in a way and in a manner, quite frankly, that they shouldn't be.
Yes, you're right. Communities should be part of that vigilance to ensure that we are checking that children do not gain access and any persons below the age of 18. And so it's our responsibility as police, it's our responsibility as communities to ensure that we check that. But we also need to support proper policing within these communities. And by supporting, we need to ensure that there's enough resources so that all the vigilance around children accessing such facilities should be a coordinated effort. And by this, we mean that the police should be supported. The community-based protection mechanisms should also be supported. But also with regards to the monitoring of such, especially by the municipalities, our ask is that all key stakeholders should ensure that we work together, we monitor the liquor licensing, that we vet the people that are selling alcohol, and we have those monitoring mechanisms to ensure that we are checking how many young people are gaining access. Are the IDs, for instance, being checked to verify that these are actually children and they should not really be in such places? We also call for the protection of whistleblowers, because one thing we've learned in our communities is that persons who are watching, the community members, and want to let the community, the law enforcement know, they are sometimes not fully protected, and so they live in fear. And they are unable to raise these issues. And so if we come together in protecting the whistleblowers and also at family level in educating our children around the dangers of being in such places. However, in this instance, we really send condolences to the families of the lives of the children lost.
Because, I mean, it is, a conversation that continues to bring out what happened, in that tragedy for the parents, considering that there's still an inquest underway. But I want to just talk about that last point that you raised there, in as far as children not finding themselves in those situations. But talk to us then about the consequences, of underage drinking, particularly when children themselves are in those situations, and, of course, knowing the vulnerability of our children in this country.
Absolutely. So the children then get vulnerable because they take that alcohol or whatever is found in that place. Sometimes they don't even know the dangers of that. And so it's important that we speak to the children. But other dangers include these children just relying on such, and they become addicted to drugs. They're introduced to drugs sometimes in such places. We've heard of those stories in our communities. And sometimes their alcohol, besides it being dangerous to their health, it's also spiked with other things such as alcohol. And so we need to ensure that we are all vigilant around such issues.
All right, Margaret, thank you so much for your time. Let's leave it there for now. Margaret Zulu from Save Our Children, South Africa.